Anoles, I guess. You get me, Cameron, or Royal Anoles, whatever you want to call me. Buy my Anoles, I buy my Anoles, DM me, Instagram, Facebook, links below. Now, the main point of this video is that I wanted to improve my feeder insect game, be it that, most people just have crickets, dubia roaches. Maybe if you're a interesting fella, you'll have red runners, if you even know what that is. But, as you know, I have anoles, and I also have a buddy who works with a lot of toads. So I felt it's weird we don't have a good supply of beetles coming in versus where we just buy them occasionally, go from that point. And that's cool and dandy all, but I hate not just having something at its peak efficiency. So that's what this video is. I said let's set up some beetles and let's get into it. I think the first one we're gonna do though will be bean beetles, but there's a lot of things that have to happen before we get to this part. Let's go do that now. So as you see, this is a 20-quart Sterilite tub. Reason we're doing this is because the bean beetles can actually climb smooth surfaces. So when you're setting them up in a tub, you want to make sure that it has a nice air-sealed little thing so they can't just climb out willy-nilly, get out, and well, get into your home. So real quick guys, bean beetles, what's in their name? Beans. This tub we're gonna put the beans in there. Anyways, let's put the beans in there now. But when it comes to breeding bean beetles, as you see, we're obviously using beans. There's a couple other beans you can use, but today we're gonna mostly be talking about black-eyed peas, simply because they're the most economic and easiest to get out of the other bean options. Now, if you remember what I said earlier, bean beetles can actually climb smooth surfaces. Remember, that's why the air seal was so important. Well, you can use that to your advantage and not have to use things like egg crate. You can actually use paper plates or just a couple other more easily accessible items than an egg crate. Now we cut the paper plates to just, spread it out. This will give our beetles essentially more coverage to run around in the little setup, so they're just a little more happier, so they'll produce more, they'll breed more, all the good stuff. Yeah. Now, it's been a minute, you've been hearing my voice, but now you got my beautiful face again. Real quick, what do you think? We did all the stuffs, right? You're liking it? We're trying to make this simple and very simple to understand, so it's nice and clean, not having to think 20 times or look at 20 different videos to understand what I said in one offhand comment. Now we've done all that, let's go do what we teased at the start, which is getting the beetles in the master culture. You remember this cup? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take off the tape. Mind you, I'm only doing this with one hand, the other's holding this phone, guys, so it's going to be a little awkward. Get the tape off, then the lid's going to pop off. Now we're going to pour the bean beetles, pretty much everything in their culture around here, and kind of just spread it out just so the eggs that are already on there just aren't all in one little area, and because I felt like doing it. Get that lid off, then smack any individuals who are stuck on that lid back into the cup. Then we're going to do the same thing we did earlier and just pour the culture back in there, but I feel like we're going to do it here more. Now this cup has some individuals on the lid, so you smack the lid, bring them back to the bottom so they aren't going to fall out or get lost outside of the master culture. Pop the lid open, move any individuals who are getting too close to the sun, if you catch my drift, back into the enclosure. Then we're going to pour them right into the corner right here. Then just move this piece of egg crate right over here. Then let's just pour this culture right around here, do a little bit in the middle, spread around here. Just spread it out. Make sure you get everyone out. Now we have successfully moved all of those little mini cultures into this master culture, which then these little guys are going to go in here, breed, eat, do everything they're going to do, and then they're going to reproduce in a much significantly larger scale. So then I'll come in, I'll grab some to feed to my anoles, some toads in here and there, and set up smaller cultures to sell, or just set up mini cultures to have more easily accessible than having to come grab from the master culture every time. Anyways, this is super sick. Let's move on to the next thing, guys. Alright, so as you've just seen in the last 5 minutes, we went from a small little bean beetle culture to setting up a master culture. Now, I said beetles during that little intro bit. Now, those are definitely beetles if you go by grammar and definition, but when I said it, I didn't just mean bean beetles. There is actually a lot of beetle feeders in the hobby that you can use. You have your darkling beetles that you get from your superworms or mealworms. You have your bean beetles, you have peanut beetles. But this one, the next subject piece, will be, in fact, the rice flower beetle. In this name, you can probably get a good guess of what they do. they'll basically live inside flour or rice. Typically it's rice, but they can live in flour. And when most people set up cultures, it's about a 50-50 ratio. So yeah, but these are basically another option for the bean beetle. But pretty a little smaller. In fact, a little, I don't know, they're a little smaller, but they're pretty much just a bean beetle with a different coat. Anyways, let's go set up their master culture and learn a couple things about them. Yeah. These are rice flower beetles. Like I mentioned, there's a couple things we have to do before we can get to this bit. Let's do that now. So we're going to grab our little bag of wheat flour. Then we're going to pour a bit into the bottom, not too much just yet. Then we grab our bag of rice, our rice flour. Do the exact same thing. Put a little bit in there, mix them up, make sure they mix well. Then once that's done, you're going to grab your rice flower beetle culture. Then we're going to, grab the little egg crate, set that in the corner. Get the culture because that's still good stuff in there. There's most certainly going to be eggs in that little bit of whatever they have in there. Then we grab the next one, rinse and repeat, I tell you. And I'm not going to leave nothing up to the imagination here. You grab the last culture and you do the exact same thing. Now I'm sure you have a little bit of some questions you'd like me to just answer off the top of your head right now. Let's go do that. So I'm here to answer some questions you may be curious about. So as you may have noticed, the bean beetle culture is in an air-sealed container, much larger, and essentially a lot harder to get in and out of. Where the rice flower beetle culture is a lot less thought out. And that's simply because the bean beetles, as you know, can climb any surface, so you need to make sure that they, can't get out. And that was the smallest air-sealed tub I can find on a notice that doesn't require ordering them in, paying a bunch of shipping fees for something I can get at Walmart. But, the rice flower beetles, which in my opinion gives them a slight boost than the bean beetles, is that they can't climb up smooth surfaces, which means containing them's easier, which means if you set them up in the little, regular deli cup cultures, you don't have to put a lot of thought in, oh, let me make sure the lid's open, you can walk up. You know what I'm saying? You can be a little more lazy, to be exact. But they are smaller, so yeah, a little bit of a downside there. But, as you may know, there is that massive plus of the fact that they can't climb plastic, so it means that the culture doesn't need to be air sealed, which means your cost of the cage, or whatever you want to technically call it, the tub, doesn't need to be more expensive to get them going. In-game goal is to set up about 4 of each of these master cultures, so I have plenty of them for some of my anoles. Main guys who are going to be eating these over here will be my baby anoles, and the Cuban cliff anoles, along with my Anoles lucii I have growing up, and my Anoles valencii, which, as you've been paying attention, those videos have been getting a lot of attention, guys. And, hopefully it works out. It should work out. The beetles are doing just fine, and I've already was seeing eggs on the beetles, bean beetle eggs and the rice flour. I'm pretty sure I saw eggs when I dumped them in there. So yeah, it's going well. Only time will tell, and knock on wood, I can set up 4 master colonies without having to buy extra colonies, because I bought basically all that supplier had at the time. So yeah, end of the video. Let me know what you thought. If you liked it, leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe. Bye bye.